Good morning or afternoon, depending on where you are calling in and listening with us today. You're back for another edition of the Handball Show. We are on day 4 of the IHF World Cup qualifier here. My name is Anthony Scott Knox. I'm happy to be here with you all again, teaming up with Amber Kaufman, just outside of Sacramento, California, and Viva Chris this day calling from Iowa. She's been traipsing across the country, so I'm glad that everybody was able to get back on another call with us as we look forward to watching the Americans take on Greenland this morning slash afternoon. It is 2 o'clock on the East Coast, 11 a.m. just about here in California. How are you two ladies doing this afternoon?
Fantastic. Excited for another day of handball.
Yeah, feeling good. Woke up ready to see US win.
Great. We missed you yesterday, Viva. Glad to have you back. And that's right, Amber. It is an important win that the Americans are looking to accomplish this afternoon against Greenland, as currently the United States is sitting in the fourth place position out of the 6 team round robin. Greenland is in second place. And remember, it is only the top 2 teams that are going to be able to qualify for the 2026 IHF U20 Women's Handball World Championship that's going to be coming up next year. So it's going to be very important for the Americans to get the win in this game against Greenland, but they are also going to be depending on Canada to beat Mexico. Of course, the Americans do still have one more game against St. Kitts and Nevis tomorrow, but since St. Kitts has been unable to get a win against anybody so far, we're kind of mostly focusing on the top 4 teams that are in competition right now. So the Americans are getting lined up. Again, we thank and welcome everybody for going to the handball show this morning and afternoon. We want to remind you all right now before we get started to go ahead and like and subscribe to the handball show so you can keep getting notified every single time that we go live right here with a stream for the games, but also we have some awesome episodes and podcast type moments coming up as our producer Martin Bolello's got a lot of fun things planned for the handball show coming up in the next couple of months. So you see right there the schedule for today. USA versus Greenland is the first game of the afternoon, and then later on you'll have Puerto Rico facing up against their opponents as well. It looks like the teams are all lined up here, ready to get it started. Maya Reading throwing the ball in, and the same starters seem to be on the court right here for the American left wing, number 23, Lucy Brascos. In the left back position is Hannah Schluter playing center back, Ia Hanovic on the right back. We've got Isabella de Cruz, and on the right wing, it'll be Heine Pinsky, who immediately comes back in for that second circle. And on the right side, De Cruz is able to get a first goal quickly here as Greenland pushes it on the quick start right up the court.
Definitely what we need. Fast start, get those muscles warm.
That's good. 4 games in 4 days. Hopefully the teams have been able to get some good recovery moments after they were completing their games, but they are right back on the court after a short turnaround after they had the last game last night and the first game today.
And Greenland's a bit of a wild card team, hasn't really played in junior competitions in the past couple of years. So I think when they beat St. Kitts by 80 goals, it was, scary to see what Greenland was going to be, but they seem to be pretty evenly matched with the rest of the teams in this tournament.
Greenland is undefeated. They are 2 games in the victory column, no games of losses, and just 1 draw. So no losses so far in this tournament for Greenland as they give up a goal right there on the right side to De Cruz again. She's got early 2 goals right here for the Americans as Greenland comes back again to set up on the half court. The USA is quickly back in defense and able to get a little stop right there to stop that secondary break.
We ran a lot through Isa early on yesterday. It's good to see her getting going early on again as well today.
Greenland moving the ball left to right and right to left back across the outside. Looks like a turnover on the left side of the court here as the Americans are pushing back up. Ia Hanovic has it on the left side on the secondary break. She sends it back right. De Cruz gives it to Pinsky in the right wing. And it looks like she was able to get a goal. We've got a little bit of a lag on our video feed. Want to remind anybody that's listening along with us while watching the IHF video feed to just sync up that timestamp that you see at the top of our banner right here. We're showing 22, 27, 8, 9, and 30. Just line up the time that you see at the top of our video right here with the video that you see on the IHF feed. That'll be the best way to sync up what we're saying with what you're seeing. As the Americans give up the first goal of the game, it's 3-1 right here. USA taking on Greenland. USA in the lead as Schluter takes the ball in the left back position. At the end of the game yesterday against Canada, we saw a lot of Penske running in from the right wing to create two circles, which at times Canada a little bit of trouble on their defense, but in the end, Canada was able to come away with the 26-22 win against the United States yesterday.
I'd be looking for Heine to run in as pivot a lot more today. I know she's used to playing it for her home club in Hungary, so she's used to playing that pivot, and two pivots will definitely give the US an advantage.
Brasco's able to get the ball for Schluter on the wing. Pass warning has been issued by the referees. Hand is in the air. I would not expect more than 1 or 2 passes after this throw in. There's the first, and the goal shot is blocked by the Greenland defense. So they'll push it down with a little bit of a fast break opportunity. Americans get back quickly. And it is save. No, not save, but a turnover for the Greenland team as the ball is reset at the 9-meter line for the American defense, and they'll bring it back on the offensive side. So, Viva, you mentioned to expect Penske to run in a lot on that two-circle position. What is a wing player really looking to do? Are they looking for the shot, or are they more looking to cause confusion for the defense as they run into that two-circle?
Well, I think it depends on what the wing player is comfortable with. In Heine's situation, she's used to playing a pivot, so I think she's looking to create space and probably get the ball inside. But maybe if someone like Lucy's coming in, she might be looking more to create space for the other pivot or attacking backs.
Hanovic has moved over to the left back position here as her and Schluter had the empty cross to start this possession, going away from that two-circle set that we saw a lot last night as we get a big double cross over to the right side. Hanovic back in the center back position after that double cross with the Reedy sister circle. Little bit of a lag on our feed right here as we get caught up. Big shot on the right side from Penske. That'll be her first goal of the game. Heine Penske on the right wing. As Viva.
We got some sneaky slow-mo there for Penske on that shot.
Yeah, that was good. Another goal right there for Greenland as they'll get reset right here on defense. The Americans going back to the same offensive defense subs that we saw earlier in their first 2 games against Mexico and Puerto Rico. Today it's going to be Schluter running off the court on the defensive side. And it's Maya Reedy playing circle for the Americans as they almost turn the ball over, but are able to get the foul called in. Hanovic will go quickly on the reset. And another goal right here, this time by De Cruz. I believe it was either De Cruz or Penske on that score. Looks like it was Schluter who actually ran in from the left back position in order to get that goal for the Americans.
And on defense, we're seeing Lucy and Ia switching what are traditionally the defensive positions. So traditionally the wing goes and plays the 1 defender and the back will go and play the 2, but today we have Ia playing the 1 and Lucy playing the 2.
Nice catch right there, Viva, as that is a less than common adjustment on the defensive side as Greenland gets another score. Americans started off quick 3-0, but now Greenland's going on just a slight run to close that gap down to 2. As Hanovic sends it left to Schluter. She might have Brascos in the corner right there for a shot, unable to get her a nice clean pass, so they'll reset back to the right side. Hanovic will give the symbol to set up the play.
I'd be curious to see how much play will be allowed here today after yesterday.
Penske running in for the second circle. And foul given by the referee. They'll reset at 9 meters. With Penske now setting up in front of Schluter. And Maya Reed is setting up right here with Hanovic in the center back position. Nice 3-on-2 action right there on the left side for the Americans. Brasco's unable to get the goal scored. and Greenland will bring it back down the court. Americans in position, able to get the foul called. It'll just be a common foul as the Greenland player goes crashing down to the court.
As a wing player, I'm really happy to see the U.S. distributing it to the wings. They're getting a lot of shots throughout this tournament.
Yes, both of the wing players for the Americans have had a lot of opportunities to score. Penske coming into the game with 10 goals and Brasco's coming into the game with 12 after three games in this IHF qualifier. The Americans giving up a goal right here as Schluter runs back in off of her offensive defensive sub and Hanovic retakes the center back position. They'll reset and Hanovic will give the call.
Looks like number 10 Jorgensen for Greenland has been scoring their goals, and she's their top goal scorer for the tournament. So we'll look to get a double, maybe a two-man on her, two women.
A lot of scoring, guys. Greenland has already had that big opening game where they won 81-2 against Kits and Nervous, as Greenland's able to get the save right there against the Americans. So a lot of scoring. As you look down the roster for Greenland, you see numbers like 18 for Nivak Knudsen, Muller with 15, Jensen with 18, Jorgensen with 22. A lot of high scores for their team, but you do have to take into consideration that they did have an 81-goal game to start off this tournament. So in some senses, their numbers are a little bit inflated, but that is a good catch on your part to see that Jensen has been their leading scorer throughout the game so far. We'll try to get the numbers locked down with the Greenland team to see who's able to keep their high scoring power going for this game. Americans got it again in the half court set. Hanovic and Schluter will reset back to their natural positions at center and left. And we will see if with some more empty cross type actions between Hanovic and Schluter right here. Hanovic sends it over to the left side as Schluter resets at center back, and we'll get a strong run coming right down the middle. Pass or play warning is on, and it's going to be a 9-meter foul right here for the Americans.
They're not working a ton with the pivots in the first 10 minutes, and I'd like to see more of that because they seem to be proficient at drawing penalties. It seems like every time the pivot gets the ball, there's a 7-meter called.
A lot of 7-meter penalties in these first 3 games that we've been watching. Maya Reedy and Ia Hanovic have been the primary shooters for those penalty attempts for the Americans. As the Greenland offense resets with a second circle run again from the right wing, similar to what we've seen from the Americans on their side. And the Greenland team is able to cash it in from the left back position. Score now tied up 5-5. The Americans hemorrhaging that lead back down to a tie right here.
Yeah, 10 minutes in, and we're back to 0-0 essentially.
That last score was by Jorgensen. Again, the leading scorer for the team, like Amber mentioned just a moment ago. Again, we'll see if the Americans try to reset their defense to give them a little bit more of resistance on the left back position. Right here, we got Hanovic giving the ball to Lucy Brasco on the left wing, and she goes into Amber's kryptonite position. The 5-hole is open as Brasco scores it to her 6-5 lead for the Americans.
Yeah, she went for that off-speed lob shot last time, so got to switch it up.
Greenland will reset right here with another circle. Again, nice action right there, although sloppy ball handling will result in a foul here at half court, and Greenland will reset. They will remain in the 2-circle position right here. A lot of space on the right side for Bea Jensen if she's able to get it. She does get it, makes a move, and is fouled once again.
Looks like we have Sophia Menchaca in the goal today.
Menchaca had a great game yesterday, at least against the penalties. She did a great job kicking away many of the penalties that the Canadians were shooting against her. She's able to take care of the net right there to get the ball thrown over, and it'll be goalie ball as the Americans come back down the court for another possession. Again, we'll thank and welcome everybody for watching the Handball Show this afternoon. Again, please like and subscribe for all of the American handball action you could possibly want, as the Americans are on day 4 of this World Championship qualifier. Again, they're in the 4th position. Greenland is the 2nd place team right here, so this is a big game for both teams to be able to lock up the top 2 spot in order to advance. into that world championship next year.
Big goal differential to overcome here. If when we come to our match against St. Kitts and Nevis, they scored 81. We keep talking about it.
Right wing.
Absolutely. And I checked with a few references, and if it happens to be a tie in the standings, the first thing that's considered is head-to-head games. And then the second thing will be goal differential, and then it goes down a couple other things from there. So every game wins. Every game counts. Every win counts.
All right, Hanovic resets it for the American offense right here. Action will be starting right here on the left side, looking for another empty cross between Schluter and Hanovic. Schluter's got in the middle. A lot of space on the right side right there. Might have liked to see her give one extra pass to the right there, Viva.
Yeah, I think always looking for the one more pass. When you have two people on you, that means somebody's open. So continue to distribute.
Sophia Menchaca with a huge save against Greenland right there. She'll reset it as the ball dribbles out on the sideline after she kicks it over the end line. She'll reset right here from 6 meters. Schluter's back in off of her defensive sub, and Hanovic will reset. We saw a lot of this yesterday, Viva. I'm not sure if you were able to catch the game or any of the highlights, but as Penske was running in on that second circle, there was a lot of space for the wings and the right back on the outside of the defense. We'll see if Penske runs in right here. It actually looks like that's Maya Reedy coming back into the middle of the circle position. And the Americans are doing a good job moving it back and forth.
Definitely. The more movement, the more you can confuse the defense. So when you have two pivots running in there, it means that they've all got to shift over. And so if you can create a little havoc, it'll usually create some openings on the offensive end.
All right. Looks like steps travel was given to the Americans right there. Now Greenland's on a fast break. Americans slow to get back in defense, and they give up an easy fast break goal. It's now 6-6. That will
Yeah, got to keep an eye on everybody always running.
that was
People are always looking for that fast break.
That was Berthelsen right there on the fast break goal for Greenland.
And that's one area where I'm a little bit worried about for the US team because they haven't been doing a lot of subs. As we get further and further into this tournament, players become a little bit more tired, and that's when other teams can beat you on the fast break if you're not getting back as quickly.
I like the scoring attack right there from the Americans. They were unable to get the goal, but they were able to use up some of that space on the wing right there. Nice shot attempt right there by Heine Penske, unable to get the goal against the Greenland goalie.
Yeah, good save. Got her hands up fast, straight over her head. Very good.
Greenland back at it on the offensive side. Shot is over the goal, and the Americans will reset here in the half court. Hanovic has run over ahead of the offense here. As Schluter is now in the center back position. Foul awarded, and the Americans want a quick reset.
I'm liking the way they just did that substitution defense offense and then having Hannah be the one to retrieve the ball from the goaltender, whoever's playing there. I think it speeds up the offense.
I agree 100%, especially because Schluter is already having to run from the far side of the court to get to her left back position. I think it makes sense in order to keep the game a little bit faster for the Americans if she kind of just assumes that center back role for a little bit to give Hanovic a little bit more time at left back to push the ball up. Nice move right there, right to left, but there were steps on the play. So Greenland will reset here in the half court.
Looks like that was Isa de Cruz, who we had going early on, but I like to see her get going again.
Just past the halfway point here, just over 14 minutes remaining in the first half, and it is all tied up 6-6. Greenland with it on the attack. Space on the right wing. And kicked away by Sofia Menchaca. Nice save right there for the American goalkeeper. That's what you were talking about right here, Viva. Schluter has to come all the way to the left side, but I think in this instance, the Americans weren't in a rush to get anything going too quickly. More than happy to just get their half court set up as Penske runs into the second circle.
Both teams kind of gotten a feel for each other, settling into this first half.
We'll see if they're able to use the space provided on the right side right here. as Penske and Reedy are in at the circle positions here. Another foul award on the outside. The Americans will reset, more than likely looking to be faced with a passive call warning at any moment here.
Looks like Greenland is taking out Issa de Cruz. So they're playing basically a 5-on-5 game right now.
Yep, it is. Issa has been shadowed here on the right back side. You can see that on the line right there for Greenland, they only have 5 defenders. As you see the 6th one now coming back in, the passive play warning is on, and Schluter sends the ball high over the goal, and it'll be goalkeeper ball.
I'd like to see us maybe employ something like that on Jorgensen against Greenland, the shadowing.
I have been surprised to not see that from our defense so far this tournament. Nobody's gone into a shadow. Only once or twice have we seen them go into a 5-1 defense in order to break up some of the offensive attacks from the backcourt players.
And traditionally, North American defenses can be pretty crazy. I've seen 3-3s, 5-1s, even man-to-man like basketball. So you never know what to expect when you're coming into the Continental Championships.
Americans will call a quick timeout right here to try to get things reset for themselves as they went out to an early three-goal lead in game 4 of this World Championship qualifier and now have succumbed to a 6-6 tie. Again, welcome everybody to the Handball Show. My name is Anthony Scott Knox. I'm here with the women's San Francisco Cal Heat goalie Amber Kaufman and Viva Chris, a former player on this very USA Junior National Women's Team. Thanks you both for joining us. It's been a great tournament so far. Again, the Americans they've got a tick in every single column. They've got a win, they've got a loss, and they've got a tie. And today is really important, Viva, for them to get this win if they're going to finish in the top 2 when this tournament is said and done.
Absolutely. I've been running a lot of different situations in my head, but the easiest one is just America wins the next 2 games. So if we can do that and really focus on this game in particular, I think we got a good shot in qualifying for Worlds.
All right, that's true. And the Americans are back on the court here. They'll restart in the backcourt as we see Lucy Braskos and Hannah Schluter taking over the left side of the court right here. We'll love to see Schluter be able to attack that 2 defender right in front of her and see if she's able to draw the 1 defender from the corner to open up Lucy on the wing here. We'll see if they're able to get some more wing shots. I know Viva's always looking for some good wing opportunities as we see De Cruz take advantage of that right side of the defense there as Penske kind of drug that 1 defender off of her spot a little bit to give a little bit more opportunity for De Cruz on the right side.
Looks like we had a yellow card over there.
Yellow card given to Greenland's number 2, Parma Kreutzmann, her first yellow card of the game. That's only the 2nd yellow card I've seen in the first 4 American matches so far. No yellow cards issued to any Americans so far in the tournament, and they've accumulated a total of 9 2-minute penalties so far. Reedy with it on the circle. She's fouled. And you see Penske right there with her hands up, and she was pleading with the referees for a 7-meter penalty. None was awarded, and they'll reset for another half-court set.
Ooh, nice pass there.
Looks like Maya has been subbed out in exchange for her younger sister, Lisa. So we got the Reedies switching as pivots.
Greenland now back in a 6-flat defense. Oh, one more. Oh, Penske's got it. And she puts it over the goalie's right shoulder for the goal for the Americans. 7-6 now. Nice use of that second circle opportunity for the Americans. They've been running a lot of that since about the second half against Canada yesterday. Didn't always get the best opportunities, although it seemed like there were some chances to be had, but not always taken advantage of at every single position. Greenland back at it in the half-court set as they also run their right wing into the second circle position.
All bunched up in the middle there.
Not a lot of space. So the Americans are plugging up all the gaps, and Greenland not really moving the ball too much left to right. They're making a lot of passes, but just about all the passing that possession happened in the middle third of the court. So it really wasn't a whole lot of space for the defense to have to cover. Passive warning is on. Foul awarded. One pass has already been thrown. We'll see how many more the referees will allow before they call the turnover. And it looks like a goal was scored. Had a little bit of a freeze on my side of my video. So it's 7-7 now, as Greenland was able to get the goal right there.
Pretty amazing how evenly matched we've been throughout the entire tournament. I call them the cardiac kids. I think it's just an even tournament.
It's a really great tournament. Really weren't sure what we would see after the very first game, resulting in an 81-2 win for Greenland. We thought that they could have been a potential juggernaut, but as we've come to realize, it's more so that the Kits and Nervous team is maybe a little nervous. Just kidding. Sorry. I'm just kidding.
That was good. No, you gotta try things.
All right, Greenland's got it back again in the half court. Circle's got it on the line. She sits, she spins, and she scores.
Not much Sophia can do there.
Greenland back in the lead now. I believe this is their first lead of the game now, up 8-7. First time. Again, the Americans went up to an early 3-goal lead here, but now, as Amber said, the teams have evened out and settled in a little bit, with just now a 1-goal lead for the Greenland team with about 7.5 minutes to go here in the first half. Ball tied up on the right side of the court by the Greenland defense, and they'll reset again with Penske and Reedy right there. Excuse me, that was the Cruz and Reedy. And then I believe that was the goal.
Yeah. I wonder what the difference is with the stream today. We've been pretty lucky with it, I think.
Stream has been pretty good so far in this tournament, a little bit choppy today.
And now we see Lucy taking out, I can't tell who because they're off the screen, but now it's also a 5-on-5. So both teams are kind of mimicking each other on both the offensive and defensive ends.
Looks like Amber did get her with the defensive side. It looks like we are going to be Shadow Jorgensen, and at least for the time being on the defense. We'll see what it looks like whenever they come back to the other side, as Greenland has reverted back to a 6-flat defense here on this side of the court, giving DeCruz a little bit more space to operate here on the outside as she dribbles it left.
Potential.
And it appears a foul was given there in the middle of the court, and Schluter's got it now on the left side with Penske working in the circle position right here in front of her. Charging foul called against the Americans.
I don't know if the Greenland player sold that one or if she was really off balance because she seemed to fall about 7 meters backwards.
She definitely or made some work for the mop boys over there on the ground, and she probably put some sweat down on that sport court.
Yeah, and that's slick. We can't be having that. The goalie's in there.
Greenland shooting it over the goal, and Menchaca will scoop it up and send it down the court as Schluter runs back off the bench and gets back into her center back position now as Hanovic goes to left back. Hanovic has it in left back position. Brascos has a little too deep in the corner to do anything with it.
Yeah, trying to get it over there to Lucy, but it feels like every pass that's headed over there either gets deflected or it's just a little too slow for her.
Exactly. That's one of the most frustrating things as a wing player is you see all this open space and then the pass is too high, too low, too far to the side, and you miss an opportunity. But it's good at least that your bats are seeing you when you're open.
I agree with both of you. There's a lot of space on those for those wing players on the offensive side for the Americans. The key will be to just get that pass there, not only quickly, but cleanly, as Viva indicated. It's got to be a clean pass right into the chest or right into the shooting pocket so the wing player will be ready to shoot. As Greenland gets another goal from their circle in that last possession. It's now 9-8. Greenland in the lead by 1 with under 5 minutes to go here in the first half. And Lisa Reedy. Nope, that's Maya back in the game. Maya Reedy gets the goal for the Americans in Greenland. We'll call a timeout here with about 4.5 minutes to go. So again, ladies, it's been a nice and even matchup so far here in game 4. 4.5 minutes remaining here in the first half. Again, the Americans are in desperate need of a win after giving up a loss to Canada yesterday. They are now counting on the Canadians to take out Mexico in order to qualify them for the World Championships next year.
I know the Canadians in the past two World Championships have been in that third or fourth place and haven't qualified, so they definitely want to get that qualification at a home tournament for sure.
What was your experience like playing with the national team last year or the last few years?
It's been fantastic. We have such a great group of girls who have really grown since our first tournament together in 2022 and played in two world championships and achieved just keep getting better from there, a better result each time. And so it's just been a lot of fun to play and grow with the team and then hopefully start to transition to the senior team as well.
Well, we definitely wish you all the best as you continue your journey and your trek upward through the handball ranks, hopefully getting you onto that senior national team soon and perhaps even getting you a bid to some Olympic play here in the next 2 years.
That's the goal for everybody, I believe.
I know, Amber, you share some of those dreams too to hopefully make it to the Olympics being held right here in California and Los Angeles in 2028. Greenland now with the ball here in the half court set with just under 4 minutes remaining here in the first half. Good defense on the left side of the court for the Americans. Pass of play warning is in the air by the referees as Greenland turns it over, and the Americans will try to get a fast break going opportunity. We'll see if their break is faster than the camera work, as we got a little bit of a lag feed right here.
Someone's going full speed though. Who is that?
Oh,
And
Emily?
somehow these have earned a penalty attempt on their fast break opportunity. That's not something that you see too much of, but Maya Reedy is on the stripe and looks like she throws it the crosser and up and into the air over the goal. Still 9-9 right here as the teams are closing in on the end of a tightly contested first half.
I think tightly contested is the phrase of the tournament. Almost every single game that's been played for any team has resulted in, a marginal victory or a tie.
Yep, as you look down the scores from all the games so far in this tournament, outside of the games that it's in Nevis had been playing, pretty much all the games have been with about 4 or 5 goals. So in games like that, you can kind of expect for there to be some tight tension in the last 10 or 15 minutes of the game with everybody feeling like they've got an opportunity to come away with the win. Hanovic on the left side right here with Schluter at the center back position.
Trying to get it to DeCruz. Little bobble there, but trying.
Hanovic and Schluter in the back to the left side for the Americans with DeCruz on the right back position. Little
Good
switch right
movement.
here as Reedy comes out of the circle to cross the ball for the Americans. And it looks like it will be another penalty shot coming up for the Americans. After Maya Reedy missed the last one, this time it'll be Ia Hanovic coming to the line for the Americans as you see the Greenland defender setting up for a possible rebound. And there it was, scrum on the ground. And the Americans again coming up empty from the penalty stripe. I believe they're 0-2 now on the day.
I wonder if we'll see a third player take the penalty next time or if they'll go back to Maya in the second half.
Greenland now with the ball in the half court. And the ball stolen by one of the Reedy sisters. And now the Americans looking up the left side. Hanovic is streaking, but the ball unable to get to her quickly. Pinsky with it on the right side. She shoots and it's kicked out by the Greenland goalie. And she'll look to get it reset quickly as well. Under a minute remaining now in the first half.
Hard to tell.
Looks like a
The
goal.
the Greenland goalie is definitely looking really good. I'm not sure if they play together a lot, but it seems like they have the you take arm, I'll take line situation really worked out.
All right, the Americans will take their time here with 30 seconds maybe a little bit too much time in order to milk the rest of this first half away for a last shot. But they should be able to take it pretty low down to where the Greenland offense doesn't have an opportunity to do very much after the Americans get a shot. Brasco's from the left wing. Got it
There's
in
your
the back of the
pass.
net. 10 seconds left for Greenland.
Perfect.
They'll get it reset quickly and coming down the court fast. Americans will need a stop. They get the foul called. And with 3, 2, 1 on the clock, we'll have a free throw to end the first half, I would imagine.
They're asking for it.
It looks like that'll just be the end of the first half right there, with Greenland finishing the first half with an 11-10 lead against the Americans. The Americans came out onto a fast start, you guys, winning by 3 goals early on, but Greenland was able to turn it around and now up by 1 goal going into the second half. So, what do you think was the big adjustments for Greenland to be able to come away with that lead right there at the end of the first half, Viva?
Well, I think the goalie for Greenland's been playing it especially well. The two 7-meter stops that she's had has definitely given her momentum and helped fuel the rest of the defense.
And defensively for the Americans, Amber, we saw, as you mentioned, that they did get to go into a little bit of a shadowing situation against Jorgensen out on the left back position. Would you expect to see more of that in the second half, or would you expect to see more of a flat defense? What do you think was more successful for the Americans in the first half?
Yeah, I'd say the shadowing did some work there. It put a stop to some of the bleeding. We had gone down by, I believe, 3 at that point. Yeah, I think I'd like to see the shadow make someone else beat us.
We will see with that again. Many high scores in the back court between Knutson, Moeller, and Jorgensen. The Americans are on a break right now, going back into halftime, trying to figure out what they can do to overcome this 1 goal deficit. Again, reminder, after a hopeful victory for the United States versus Greenland, they will be hoping that Canada is able to take out Mexico, where you see they will be playing the third game today, later on at 6 o'clock Eastern and 3 p.m. Pacific time. We'll see if first United States is able to handle their own business against Greenland, and if later on Canada is able to give a helping hand to the United States in the rankings by taking out Mexico. For right now, we'll remove ourselves. Again, thanks for watching this afternoon with the handball show. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back just before the start of the second half. All right, fans, and welcome back to the second half of this match of the USA versus Greenland. Right away, we're seeing a different defensive set as the American defense is only playing with four defenders back on the 6 meter line and have two defenders shadowing their backcourt players in order to make things a little bit more complicated. Essentially playing a 4-on-4 game right here as two backcourt players have been essentially taken out by two shadows. So we talked about it at the end of the first half, Amber, what we might see the Americans do in order to get some better defense here in the second half.
Yeah, it looks like they've made a big halftime adjustment and successful so far.
Okay, I'm sorry. I lost my video feed here, but I'm going to bring it back in a second. Call it for me for a second if you would, Viva. I lost my camera.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what this defensive set is going to look like. It seems to be working well with the four block, but I'm a little bit nervous if they start passing it to the outside and get shots there. Looks like Lucy had the ball knocked away from her on the wing shot, and they're back into this 4-2 defense.
Great work, Viva. On the fly.
Thank you. I'm putting my communications degree to some use.
There you go.
Oh, see, right there was a pass that Greenland could have made, but Issa was able to step up and get the foul to restart the action.
It looks kind of wild with just now 8 people in the screen.
And more strong defense by Lisa Reedy on the inside, giving a high five to her sister. I know their parents are really excited. If you saw their jerseys yesterday or on the USA Team Handball social media channel, they've got the numbers of their three daughters on the back of their jerseys. So I'm sure they're very proud parents.
Yeah, and the one player who's not playing today is Emma Reedy, so shout out to her.
Yeah, she's the center back, the older sister that holds the family together, I think she'd like to say.
All right, thanks you guys for covering me right there. I've got my video feed back up and running right here. It's a 11-10 lead right here. No scores early on in the second half. Greenland still holding on to that 1 goal lead after going down early in this match. They were able to bring it back and take the lead going into the second half. Right there, the Americans' goal is pushed away for a save, but the rebound was secured by the Americans as Schluter, excuse me, that was Hanovic on the left side, as a passive play warning has been given. And another rebound bounces around and is patted out to the Greenland offense. So you see Brascos right here doing the shadow on Bjornstead, number 8 Bjornstead, and Pinsky. I can't see the number of the young thing she's shadowing.
Yeah, a little confusion there, but we'll get it rolling again.
So that was a goal scored on that last play by the Americans. So now it's tied up 11-11. As we might be seeing some nice fun small game handball action right here, as right now the teams are essentially playing 4-on-4. With that,
I know it's early in the game, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Greenland take an early timeout or at least get one of their backs talking to the coach to draw up a play for this 4-on-4. It's not something you practice for.
yeah, certainly not necessarily something that you practice for, but in a way, you're kind of giving in to the Americans' goal right here. Their goal was to eliminate those two players. And if you're just going to sit back at half court and watch the rest of the game take place, then in some ways, the Americans have already won that battle.
Yeah, and us getting to keep 2 of the Reedy sisters on defense, just plugging up those gaps.
There's some action right there for the backcourt player also, as Brascos chases her back down to the wing. It would be a goal scored, unable to see it right there off of the feed. But it's now 12-11 right now for Greenland being up. 5 minutes.
And something that you commonly see if a player is being taken out is that player will go out of the game and they'll sub a new player in, or they'll switch with the goalie, something like that, to get another player in.
Nice score right there from Hanovic, I believe. No, that was Schluter on the goal for the Americans. It's now 12-12 as Greenland comes back quickly. And
Kind of caught her from behind. That's never good.
they're going to need to bring on some medical professionals in order to check on the Greenland player who's down on the ground after the score. It's 13-12 now for Greenland. So again, on the defensive side, the Americans have essentially eliminated two of the Greenland offensive players by going into a shadow, and a red card has
Wow.
been issued.
Who?
One of the Reedy sisters, it's looking like. Looks like
Look-
Lisa.
All right, put Emma in.
Yeah, right.
All right, so a red card given. It looks like it may have been a
Oh
bad
no.
on a fast break.
Yeah.
Bad foul on a fast break. That's one of those moments where if you get beaten handball in a fast break type of possession, you really are just encouraged to let the player go because any fouls from behind, especially on a fast break, can be really dangerous for the offensive player. You saw how the offensive player for Greenland was taken down the ground, was in a lot of pain. And I'm sure she was in pain, but for the referees to see that not only a legal foul had taken place, but a player was potentially injured by that, a red card in the end was eventually given to the Americans, number 19, Lisa Reedy. So, in addition to that red card, Lisa will be out for the rest of the game, and the Americans will be down by one player for the next 2 minutes, now playing 5 against 6 with no right wing player in action right now. Goal taken on the left side, and it's saved. And
This goalie is incredible.
she's
She's
having a really,
everywhere.
really good game. She's having an awesome game so far. And now the Americans will have to get back into a flat defense as there is nobody on the left side to defend that wing. However, it appears that somebody stepped on the line. There'll be a goalie ball, and the Americans will reset, still down one player for about 1 minute and 15 seconds here.
And no, not only is Lisa's presence going to be missed on the offensive end, but she had been switching offensive and defensively with Hannah. So I wonder if they'll have Hannah just drop back to defense or if they'll switch somebody else. We might see a new substitution for the US.
So the Americans playing down a player where you can see where De Cruz has just stepped back as number 4. Muller for Greenland has stepped out in that shadowing role to take out De Cruz from the game. Greenland's still up by one player right now. This will more than likely be their last offensive possession where they're playing one up. We'll see if they're able to convert and get the lead back here as it's now tied 13-13.
Someone definitely will have to pick up the emotional slack there in the middle.
Yeah, they'll definitely miss her energy on the inside. I see Maya's already looking for somebody to high five.
Foul awarded for Greenland. They're going to be coming to the end of their 2-minute advantage here quickly as the circle comes out to throw it back to the right back. And now Jornstead runs it in. And it is saved once again by Sofia Muchaka. Americans coming down quickly and scoring it. Believe that might have been Lucy Brasco's.
Looking like it might come down to these smaller, which goalie can make one extra stop.
Last goal going to be credited to Schluter. As you see, it looks like Schluter is stepping out right here. Either Schluter or Brasco stepping out to shadow. That's Schluter
Yeah.
on the shadow position.
I could play on the court in that position right there, I think.
I don't think you give yourself enough credit, Amber.
Thank you.
All right, Greenland sliding the ball right to left, looking for the open position. Oh, it looked like that may have even been a double dribble. Nice pass and nice goal score from the circle position for Greenland.
It won't be counted as a goal. I think you were right with the double dribble.
Okay, I thought I saw a double dribble before that pass was given, but then it was thrown in. So Americans holding on now to a 14-13 lead and make it 15-13 as Schluter comes in for another goal. That's two back-to-back for her now.
Greenland needs to do something about this defense. It was a great decision, seemingly so far, for the US to play 4 versus 4, pretty much. So I'm wondering if the coach will come up with something.
And the Americans on the bench right there chanting out their defense. And the defense has come out with a vengeance here in the second half, making things very difficult. But right there, a goal is scored, 15-14 now. And we'll see if Greenland steps it back out into the shadow that they played at the end of the first half.
Looks like we don't have it, so if we can get the ball to DeCruz and take advantage.
Right now, the Greenland defense is flat, like Amber said, so we'll see what type of offensive set the United States goes with. This time, the empty cross will be between DeCruz and Hanovic on the right side. And again, another save for the Greenland goalie. She's been big in the goal.
And this tournament, they really haven't been doing as the player of the match, which I often enjoy just to see who the officials are recognizing as the best player of each game. It gives you a little bit of a clue to who's playing well in the tournament, but not this one.
Foul awarded. Americans will reset right here. Schluter standing right in the center back position. DeCruz at right back. Hanovic over in the left back position for the backcourt players for America. Reedy coming in to transfer the ball back to the right as Hanovic is back in the center back. DeCruz it left to Schluter. Passive play warning on. Brass goes from the wing. She scores it. Bounce shot. Throws it right underneath the Greenland goalie. And the top hand corner, 16-14 now as Brasco scores her second of the game.
Yeah, I'm really not understanding the Greenland's defense scoring any goals while they were not playing that flat six. So, but they could keep it up as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, what a shot right there from Greenland. Off balance, but still able to put it past the defense and the goalie. That was number 15, Berthlinson for Greenland. America back at it quickly. DeCruz sends it left to Schluter. Schluter dives in and scores.
She's having a fantastic game today.
Schluter is really coming into her own this afternoon.
Her first time playing for the US and really making a good impression.
Viva, do you know where Schluter is from, where her hometown or club is?
I believe she's from Germany. I don't know anywhere more specific than that, but she went with us for Pan Ams in a couple of weeks. So excited to see her already having a great performance.
Greenland turns it over and America comes back to the half court with a 2-goal lead. Want to remind everybody again, as you are listening to our feed and watching the game from the IHF feed, all you've got to do to sync things up is just look at the timestamp at the bottom of our feed and at the top of theirs. We're counting up to 11:53, 11:54 as a line violation is called, I believe. I don't think that last goal will stand. Yes, it will stand. Last goal does stand. The Americans are now up 18-15, and the Greenland team is satisfied or at least content playing 4-on-4 right here, but they'll at least take a timeout to talk about what they're going to do. A lot of times, Viva, whenever I will happily admit that I have been the offensive player at times in my life that has been pushed out to the back and shadowed. We'll see what type of offense Greenland is able to come up to try to get some of their better offensive players a little bit of momentum towards the goal. Anything that you would expect to see from Greenland coming out of this timeout in order to counter the American shadows on their backcourt players?
Certainly much quicker passes from the middle to the outside. Right now it's super slow, and that's allowing the defenders to get to their positions on the outside. So just quicker passes, quicker movements, and attacking from the outside where the gaps are right now.
The gaps are really big on the outside because those 4 players are essentially covering the middle third of the court. So if you can really spread out your offense on the outside between those 4 court players that are there, that'll get a lot of space. But even more specifically for those players that are being shadowed out around half court, I would be interested to see if maybe Greenland might bring a circle to set a screen away away from the ball in order to get a run for those offensive players. As you see that they're practically standing on the 9 meter line on the other side of the court. They are far, far, far removed from this offensive possession right now. It is truly, truly a 4-on-4 here for Greenland.
Yeah, very interesting. I sometimes wonder if it's a coach just being stubborn, saying, "Hey, if that's what you want to do, then we'll work with this." Uh, but yeah, cool to see.
A lot of dummy action right now I'm seeing as the circle for Greenland was coming out to kind of transport the ball around. And right there, the circle is denied by Menchaca in the goal. 18-15 now for the Americans. They have back to the 3-goal lead that they had early in the first half. Again, Greenland was also able to come back and get a 1-goal lead after going down by 3 early in the first half. So we'll see if the Americans are able to hold on to it or if Greenland's able to make this a closer game here towards the end. As the left back is circled back into the center back position and a goal is scored, this time I believe by the Reedy sister, Maya. And then a turnover for Greenland. Everything rolling in the Americans' direction right now. Greenland kind of struggling on the offensive side. The Shadow has done a lot to slow down their offensive attack. And then on the offensive side for the Americans, they're kind of happy to just throw it around and milk a little bit of the time with a 4-goal lead here in the second half.
This has been a big game of momentum. We had it in the beginning. Greenland's had it in the middle, and now let's see if we can hold this for the rest of the match.
Nice attack by the Americans. Foul awarded here at 9 meters. They'll reset it. Reedy throws it in. Again, we are without her sister Lisa, who got a red card early in this game. It is just going to be Maya Reedy in the middle of the court. It's been kind of hard to tell exactly who's in, but do we know who actually came in after that red card to sub in for for Lisa after she got the red card?
I believe Hannah's just been falling back on defense, doing that shadowing that you're talking about.
Got it. So no offensive defense subs right now for the Americans. It'll just be Hannah playing both ends of the court, something that she hasn't done too much of here in the first few games. As she's been running a lot of offensive defensive subbing with Lisa Reedy, who again has gotten a red card here after an unfortunate foul that occurred on a Greenland fast break.
If I had to guess, though, if we turn this volume up, we could hear Lisa.
Certainly.
American goal right there scored by Isabella de Cruz. And you see Braskos, or excuse me, Schluter with a hand on Bjornstead way, way, way into the back court here for Greenland.
Could someone else beat us?
So far, the strategy for the Americans has worked here in the second half. They've started the second half down 11-10 and now are on a 5-goal run, which puts them up by 4.
And Sophia Menchaca has really impressed me this tournament and this game especially. She was on the junior national team that played in the World Championships last year, but was the third goalkeeper, so didn't see a lot of playing time. But now to step up into the main goalkeeper, play really well is great to see.
Another nice goal for the Americans. This time, I believe that might have been Hanovic or Schluter again that was able to get the goal scored. Video was just a little bit choppy, so hard to see exactly who it was as Greenland now turns it over back to the Menchaca in goal. And Greenland putting a little bit of soft pressure in the back court to make it a little bit tougher for the Americans to bring it up. That might leave them a little bit vulnerable on the defensive side, but they are able to get a foul call.
Definitely more
And
time consuming to get up the court. I don't hate that.
Yes, it might actually work in the US's favor because they're with a 5-goal lead, so any time wasted is good wasted time for the US right now.
very true as the Cruz accepts another foul far away from the goal. And again, they'll be happy to let those fouls happen and run out some more clock as we come to about 13-15 remaining here in the second half. Ball turned over. Greenland will come back after the American charging foul is fallen.
Can't get too passive on the wasting time, though. It is still early. We're just excited.
We are. It's nice to not have a super close nail biter, but anything can happen, and that's 13 minutes.
Yeah, it will.
You can see that Bjornstedt is itching to get into the game. Schluter is all over. She's got her hands on her. She is holding her out there. Bjornstedt is wanting to get involved, and you see the referee come and go for tell the hand play to stop as they both were slapping at each other in that last possession. Again, Bjornstedt now going into the left wing. Again, I'm not surprised to see them bringing their backcourt players a little bit lower to give them a little bit of an opportunity to get in to the offensive possession as the left wing shot lands on top of the goal, and the Americans will hold on to a 5-goal lead here and bringing the ball into the second and into the half court offensive set.
I'm surprised you don't see more of that hand fighting, hand slapping, but that's the camaraderie, the gamesmanship of handball.
Ball turned over and stolen by number 10 for Greenland, Jorgensen. She gets the score on the fast break run out.
And you see Hannah there just kind of letting her go and take the shot, not wanting to get another red card by fouling her from behind.
All right, both teams playing 6-on-6 right here. For the most part, Greenland has been flat in the second half, but right now you see that they are playing a little bit of a 5-1 defense. I wouldn't necessarily call it a shadow, but right now it does look like that 5-1 defense is mostly concentrated on the center back. And Hanovic is looking to create something, but De Cruz gets on the right side and the Greenland goalie kicks it out. Foul and penalty will be awarded for the Americans.
See who takes it.
Looks like Lucy is going to take it.
Here we go.
Or is she just retrieving?
Lucy Brasco's taking her first penalty attempt for the Americans in this tournament. And she sticks it in the back of the net, extending the lead back for the Americans to 5 goals over Greenland, and they'll reset it at half court now. With just over 10 minutes remaining here in game 4, again, the Americans have a 1-1-1 record here. 1 win, 1 loss, and 1 tie that took place against Puerto Rico. They beat Mexico in game 1 and lost to Canada yesterday. Again, today's a big game for the United States of America as they need this victory against Greenland, as well as for a Canadian victory against Mexico. There are some other scenarios that the Americans could still accomplish that second place spot in order to qualify for the World Championships coming up, as one of our watchers, John Ryan, was messaging me during the break earlier, letting us know that there are some other scenarios where America could still make it to the second place without without the situation that I described here a moment ago. Hanovic now with the ball on the center back. Penske has it on the right side, and she scores it near post against the goalie. Honestly, that's my favorite spot to shoot from the wing, is near post, because a lot of times you'll see the goalies kind of creep out to try and cover up that far post, and if you're able to sneak it past their ear on the inside, that can feel kind of good sometimes too. Timeout on the floor right here for Greenland, as they are now facing a 6-goal deficit with just over 10 minutes remaining here in the second half. Again, my name is Anthony Scott Knox. I'm on the call here with Amber Kaufman and Viva Chris here. This is game 4 of 5 for the Americans. They got just one more to go tomorrow against Kitts and Nevis. And they'll be looking to hopefully achieve the ultimate goal of finishing in the top 2 in this tournament in order to qualify for that World Championships next year.
The World Championships are going to be played in China, which is a change from the last 2, which were held in Europe. So that should be exciting for the 2 teams that get to go.
That's the thing with getting able to play with the U.S. national teams for handball. This is such a worldwide sport that isn't played as much here in the Americas. So a lot of times you get a great opportunity to go into Europe or some of the Asian countries. So a great opportunity for these young women to travel and see the world while playing the sport they love. And we say that to remind anybody watching that if you think that you can do this, then go ahead and get out and find the nearest club for you and try out for one of your American clubs, and you could find yourself being just like Amber or Viva, looking to accomplish that goal of making the Olympics in 2028. Not that they need any competition, though.
Yeah, I'm okay.
The Americans move it nice around 6 meters, and that was almost a backwards shot right there for the American circle or pivot, Reedy. And we'll be bringing in, I believe, Lucy Brascos again for another penalty attempt. She's got 4 goals in the game, 3 from her wing position and 1 from the penalty stripe. Let's see if she's able to make a second penalty score right here. And I believe she does. It is 2 now from the penalty stripe for Lisa, and the Americans are still with a 6-goal lead as Greenland turns it over and then fouls as the Americans get it reset, but won't be in a hurry to run down the court with a 6-goal lead and only 9 minutes remaining in the second half.
Seems like Greenland is in a bit of a hurry, and that led to that turnover.
Well, the possessions are very, very few now, so they'll be trying to get as many of them as they can in order to give themselves an opportunity to now overcome a 7-goal deficit as Maya Reedy gets the goal scored for the Americans.
And the US wants to continue to increase their goal differential, so keep scoring as much as they can, just in case one of those odd situations happens with ties and losses later in the tournament.
Schluter now following the backcourt player down into the wing. The wings are now being shadowed here in the corners here. And again, the American strategy is working out very, very well here in the second half. 2 shadows on the backcourt players have now forced them not in the backcourt where they have been ineffective, but now down into the deep corners of the wings where they are still being pretty much unused in the offensive sets for Greenland. So it's still been pretty much a 4-on-4 for Greenland and America whenever Greenland is on the offensive side. And right here, after that goal, I believe, for the Americans, Greenland again trying to rush it up into the half court. And with a bad throw, it'll be a slow restart for Greenland.
Can
See a
see
little
some
bit of
frustration
frustration.
setting in on the Greenland goalie. Shoulders are dropping a bit.
I saw the exact same thing from Bjornstead, who's been shadowed pretty much this entire second half by Schluter. Ball held over the end line right there. It's not just where your feet are on the out of bounds lines in handball, it's where the ball is. So as that ball was hung over the sideline, it'll be remain here on the Greenland side as again a rush shot flies over the goal.
It was probably about 100 miles an hour, but just off target.
Little bit off goal, and it doesn't mean anything. You have to have your shots on goal, and that's the only way to make the goalie work, right, Amber? I'm sure you'd love to see all these shots running over the goal with no resistance from you.
Yeah, if people can miss the target, I'm happy with that.
And now we're seeing a wild defense from Greenland. I believe they were playing a player-to-player, man-to-man defense that time down the court, so we'll see if they stick with it. But US has so far been effective with cutting through the gaps.
With only 6.5 minutes remaining in the game, Greenland is trying to do anything they can to produce some pressure right here. Back in my playing days at Carolina, this was our helter-skelter defense, exactly the chaotic defense that you all described. We just called it helter-skelter because that's a lot of what you see. Sometimes it can cause chaos with such a large deficit. Now, 10 goals with 6 minutes remaining. It really seems like that amount of helter-skelter might just cause things to get too jumbled up for not only the Americans, but the Greenland players who are clearly in a rush to try to make up this goal differential.
And if you're already frustrated, the last thing you want to do is have to think hard about playing something different that you're not used to.
So personally, this is where I like to do a little bit of math. There have been 55 minutes that have been played in this game so far, and Greenland has scored 18. They need 10 goals in the next 5 minutes. So from just a sheer math perspective, I don't think there's going to be enough time for them to come out. Again, they're in that helter-skelter defense trying to cause the Americans to turn it over to provide for some extra offensive opportunities. However, I don't know if there'll be enough time as the Americans are able to get another score right there to push their lead to 11.
I wonder if Greenland has any subs or if they're playing 6 or 7 players the whole tournament.
The Americans now with another goalie ball, and they'll reset with 5 minutes to go here in game 4 of the World Championship qualifier of the IHF. A little bit of a video feed here on our side. Looks like it might have been turnover on the last possession and a turnover on the next possession as the Americans are already back on the offensive attack.
It's good to see us be able to slow it down a little bit, take some time like we were talking about at halftime. We're not the cardiac kids today.
Yeah, run a few of the plays or, even sub in a few different players to get them a little bit of experience. But with a somewhat easier game tomorrow, I think you're having that opportunity tomorrow as well.
12 goals is the not including the games involving St. Kitts and Nevis, 12-goal game in the lead for the Americans. That's the second biggest margin of victory if the game were to end right now that we've seen so far in this tournament. The next biggest happened when Canada took on Puerto Rico and won 38-22 earlier. So a goal differential is going to kind of get made up a little bit right here for the Americans, who are only in a deficit right now as far as goal differential is concerned. A 4-goal loss to Canada, a tie against Puerto Rico, and a last second 1-goal win against Mexico in game 1 for the Americans, as Greenland gets a goal scored right here to make it a 30-19 game. Looks like we're going to see Greenland try to get back a little bit into a more flat defense as the writing as far as the subsequent outcome of this game right here. Yep, Greenland back in the flat defense. The Americans will move the ball slow and methodically side to side as the Reedy sister comes up for the circle transport and
Well,
ball back to the left for Hanovic.
it certainly seemed like a gamble to some for Coach Thomas to play basically 4v4, but it's really worked out. The U.S. has outscored Greenland by 11 in this half alone, so fantastic game plan that really paid off.
All right, another goal scored for Greenland. Again, trying to keep that goal differential as much in their favor as they possibly can. Coming into the game, Greenland had an 80 goal differential, and as I mentioned, the Americans were 3 goals in the negative right here. But the difference in this game really truly has been the decision for the Americans to go into that double shadow that essentially allowed us to see a 4-versus-4 game here in the second half.
Got to stop the bleeding here.
All right, another goal, I believe, was given up by the Americans right here. I think it's 30-21 now. There it is, score updated 30-21, just 2 minutes to go here. And again, as this game seems to be just about over, as Greenland's kind of pulled back their man-to-man defense and helter-skelter back to a regular 6 flat defense, the American team will be able to get their second victory here in this tournament, now with 2 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie. And again, the Americans will be hopeful that Canada will be able to beat Mexico here later on today. Ladies, we've seen both Canada and Mexico already in this tournament. What type of action would you expect to see in that game later on today?
After watching our game against Canada, I'd like to see the Ophélie Chagnon get stopped. Or we want Canada to win. So I want to see her score as many goals as she possibly wants to because she killed us. Yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty even match. Both teams know what they're fighting for, and I think both of these teams are pretty invested in that match too. So I think there'll be some filled stands.
And even as the game has been pretty much been wrapped up, you still see the Americans in that double shadow outside.
Not giving up.
And don't turn off our webcast immediately because we will be interviewing assistant coach Liz Hartnett after the game. So I'm sure she'll have some fun things to say and we'll get some insight into the strategy behind the defense.
All right, a little bit of a lag feed on our end, just 20 seconds now remaining in the game. as Greenland will get ready to reset for one last shot attempt, and then we would expect Americans more than likely to just let the clock run out if they were to get another offensive possession. Greenland not even really looking to press it too much right here, as the Americans are able to be victorious once again here in this tournament for second victory today, coming up against Greenland with a 31-22 victory. Again, America now going to 2-1-1, and now the Greenland team having the same record as well, also 2-1-1. So the Americans now tied up record-wise with Greenland. And as Viva mentioned earlier, the first tiebreak won't necessarily be goal differential, although that could be important later. The first tiebreak would be a head-to-head matchup. So with America winning against Greenland and now them both being tied as far as their record is concerned, that's really big for their overall outcome overlook for the Americans, because they will have that tiebreaker against Greenland if they were to happen to have the same record.
Yeah, feeling really good about our chances. Got to see how we show out against St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yeah, excited to see even more players for the US squad make their first appearances and hopefully score a few goals. I know that'll be exciting for the whole team to really cheer on the squad.
So one thing that I notice in this game as we kind of break it down for the people that are still watching with us at home before we bring Coach Liz Hartnett on for a quick catch up after the game, is that in the second half for the Americans, they really didn't have to do a whole lot of funky, crazy stuff on the offensive side. Because Greenland had so much trouble on their offensive set, I felt like it kind of put the Americans in a good position to get some goals scored without having to do a whole lot in the half court set. What do you see from the Americans' offensive side here in the second half,
Well, I
Viva?
was really impressed by the play of Hannah Schulter. I think really made her statement, made her mark on the game. I believe she had 10 goals to end, so got into double digits with a third of the United States goals, but also players like Lucy, Heine, and then we did see, unfortunately, a yellow card on Lisa, a red card on Lisa, so we'll be sure to play defense from the front going forward.
That's what going forward and for all
Yeah.
every once in a while there might be a moment where you're just trying to message, but ideally you want to. I've sent some messages on the defensive side, but I always try to make it a nice 2-minute message.
Can't go
Yep.
too hard.
So stay tuned. We're gonna try to get Coach Liz in here as soon as possible, but I'm sure she's celebrating with her team right now.
And she has a lot to celebrate too, because like I said, I'm just looking at those standings right there with America now having that second win. Again, if Canada beats Mexico this evening, then that'll put Mexico 2 losses and America with no losses. And again, I've been chatting back and forth with John Ryan a little bit off camera. And we were talking about how as long as Canada is able to beat Mexico this afternoon and kind of sort of even, if not, it should be pretty good for the Americans to finish in the top two. Again, Canada is undefeated, 3-0 so far in this tournament. If they do beat Mexico, that's going to put Mexico at 2 losses, and then America will be in a great position with a tiebreaker against Greenland after the head-to-head victory today. And then again, as we've made mention, St. Kitts and Nevis, very, very much an upcoming and new team, just kind of figuring out their footing here in the sport of team handball. Should more than likely be a pretty easy victory for the Americans tomorrow. And even with no goal differential, and with no goal differential really being a a factor in the final standings of the tournament, the Americans are looking pretty good to advance at this tournament and into the World Championship qualifier.
If
Yeah,
yeah, if Sophia try and play like that from here on out, we have a very good chance.
and it seems like Canada might have the first place secured up, but something could happen and US could end up placing first in the tournament, I believe. I'm not exactly sure. I know they play Greenland tomorrow, so the Intercontinental Trophy isn't out of the question, I think, for the United States. So still a lot of shakeup can happen in these next 5 games.
And just going off of the stats of the game that we just saw, Hannah Schluter had an amazing game this afternoon with 10 goals leading the Americans in scoring. Big game for her. Again, there was a lot of space, a lot of confusion as the Greenland defense didn't really settle in too well second half, not like they did in the first half. I feel like they were able to do a lot to keep the scores in check.
It ain't broke, don't fix it, but it was broken and they weren't fixing it. Seemed about halfway through that second half, Greenland had tried something, it wasn't working, and they just kept sticking with it. But it worked out in our favor.
Yeah, Americans made definitely outweighed the ones that Greenland made. Again, Greenland entered into the second half up 11 to 10 and then ultimately gave up a almost a 10 goal loss to the Americans. The adjustment that from the Americans and head coach Beckman really made a huge difference in the game. Again, shadowing the two players didn't just shadow them, made it difficult for those two players. It was really about the other four players that remain. With only having four players against four, the Americans were just saying that we believe these four defenders can take and eliminate these last four offensive. And they really weren't able to use all the space. It's not very often that you see 4-on-4 half. And I know that you mentioned before and how weird it was to see a 6-on-4 whenever Canada 2 2-minute penalties yesterday. Today we saw 4-on-4, which is just it's just about as uncommon to see 4-on-4 like that. Personally, as an offensive player, Viva, I would love to be one of those four players with that much space. I would just beg for everybody around me, or at least those other three players working with me 4-on-4, to just spread out and move the ball quickly side to side. I mean, I want not a like basically the same shell that you would use with two circle offense, wing, a backcourt, and another wing. I want to keep it that wide. So as you're swinging it side to side, it will just give you that much more space. I felt like whenever Greenland was off 4-on-4, that they were too tight. Again, those four players were essentially standing on the middle third of the court, have been able to spread out and continue to move the ball quickly. At some point, at the very, very worst, any one of those four players was going to have a one-on-one opportunity. But as Coach Beckman must have seen, he felt comfortable with his ability, with the abilities of his defensive players to be able to lock down one-on-one. Greenland players were so close together that they were still faced with two American defenders every single time they went into attack. But I feel like that was just a consequence of the lack of spacing that Greenland used when they had those 4-on-4 opportunities.
Yeah, I feel like they were doing almost the opposite of what I would say. They just kept crossing it to the middle and making pretty slow passes once they felt contact. And I would do the exact opposite, like you described. Pass it around, make the US players shift, and eventually there's going to be an opening because of there's so much space. So I honestly think Greenland got out coached in the game. Thomas put in a very unique defense and worked for a whole 30 minutes. You don't often see that with Greenland hardly making any adjustments, even when they came in for the timeout. So I think that was a great play by the coaching staff, and it worked out in their favor.
Yeah, I thought that was a big moment whenever Greenland called a timeout after America had been in the two shadow for about 4 or 5 possessions. They thought that Greenland would come out and make a big adjustment. But the only adjustment I saw Greenland really make for those two shadows was instead of having them way in the backcourt on the offensive side. Backcourt players were basically setting up for defense. They were completely out of the picture. As we were watching the game, we couldn't even see them in this half of the court. And the only adjustment that I really saw that I felt the Greenland coach made was to bring those two players from the backcourt where they were completely uninvolved down to the wing corners where they were still completely uninvolved. So again, I couldn't really see what the number of the Greenland player was at the top of the screen, but Madeline Bjornested, you saw her and Hannah hand fighting at one point in the second half, but that was about as much action as Bjornsted got. The second half was a little pass.
definitely saw some frustration setting in there. Maybe she disagreed with her coach. Maybe she doesn't just stand in the backcourt or go stand on the wing, which is plugging up the offense, creating less space. So I would like to be that player because, yeah, it probably feels good, but boring second half for those two players on Greenland for sure.
Yeah, just feeling powerless and your team go from a tie game at the half to down, 10 at least by the end of the game is a pretty powerless feeling when that you have so much to contribute. I was even looking for Greenland to be a player for a goalie and do a quick change like that, but they didn't really do that. So I would have been through everything at them, especially down in the last 10 minutes of the game.
They gave up a little bit. It felt like it to me watching. So I don't know if that's coaching or what, but they just they tried the full court press and then man to man and nothing worked. So they just went to the six shell and played it out. And it just felt kind of like they succumbed.
So we'll be just a few moments away from bringing Coach Liz Hartnett in to kind of discuss what the American strategy was here in the second half that enabled to get that 10-goal against Greenland. Again, in the next matchup this afternoon, I'm going to check our schedule real quick and update who's playing next. We will have
It's going to be Puerto Rico versus St. Kitts.
Puerto Rico and St. Kitts. Thanks, Viva. Puerto Rico and St. Kitts are coming up in the next game in just the next few minutes. So again, Puerto Rico, we were able to tie earlier in this tournament. So they should be pretty okay against St. Kitts and Nevis. The real game that we're excited to kind of see the result of will be Canada versus Mexico later on this evening. Again, as we've done some of the
What is happening?
Hello.
Cool hair, Thomas.
Hello, hello.
Well,
All right.
congratulations on the win, coaches.
Thank you very much.
All right, fans, thanks for being with us still. I want to welcome now Coach Hartman and Coach Beckman now after their win against Greenland. Now, coaches, you have a 2 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie. You guys are in a great position now to finish in the top 2 of this tournament. What is it going to take in order to make sure that you guys lock it up as you look to face St. Kitts and Nevis tonight? But more so, we kind of have our eyes on that Canada and Mexico match later on this evening as well. What do you guys have your eyes set on?
Yeah, we need to win tomorrow again, St. Kitts and Nevis. So that's all we need to do right now because all the others who have the same points like us, it doesn't matter because we won against all the others. So we need to win tomorrow, and then we are qualified as second place to the World Championship.
We put ourselves in a great position with the goal differential in this game. So we hope that Canada does their job tonight and eliminate Mexico. So that would be great.
Yep.
And the big storyline of the game, I think, is that you all were tied at the half, and then you decided to go to that basically 4v4 and take out 2 of their players. What was that coaching decision, and how did you see it play out successfully?
Yeah, we watched. We saw that number 8 and number 10, the left back and the center back, were the main actors in the Greenland team. So it was pretty easy to decide, take them out and let the rest play. And yeah, our defense did great. And Sophia gave her best and saved a lot of shots. So and yeah, this was story of success, right?
Yeah. It was a game plan Thomas had drafted this morning, actually, and we said if we needed to, we would go to that. So we implemented it in the second half.
Coaches, were you guys surprised at all that Greenland was okay and content with playing 4-on-4? Had you drawn up anything in order to counteract if they were able to bring in number 8 and number 10 in to try to keep them involved in the offense? We were noticing that those players were happy to kind of like stick it out in the backcourt, and the really only adjustment that they made to your defense was to then bury their players in the wing. Were you surprised that they were so content playing 4-on-4 in the second half?
Yeah, I think they didn't expect that we play with the two players out. So they didn't expect that because nobody else played it before. So, and this was the German surprise.
And speaking of a German, that play of Hannah Schulter today, she had 10 goals after, having a few games with a few goals, a new addition to the junior team. What did you see in her today?
She's just fast, right? So if you try to defend her movements or whatever, you have to be really fast. And she's a young player, and with all my respect, yeah, and she did great. To be honest, she found the other players, she found the pivot, found the wing players, and
The back of the net.
and the back of the net. Yes. So yeah.
One more question for you guys as you get ready to go celebrate and then prepare for St. Kitts and Nevis tomorrow. What, if any, adjustments did you guys have to make whenever Lisa Reedy got her red card called in the first half? How much did that come into play whenever you guys decided to go into that double shadow? Do you think you would have done the same thing if Lisa had not been excluded from the match?
I would say yes, because we talked about it at halftime. So it was already in the.
We were prepared for everything, to be honest.
Well,
Look, no matter, yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks, Viva.
Thanks.
Thanks, team.
And you do.
Congrats,
and you do a
see you
great
in
job, to be
Paraguay.
honest. I watched some stuff that you made, and really good job.
Well, thank you. And thank you for joining us today. Congrats on the win, and don't party too hard.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you very
care.
much.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
congratulations and good luck the rest of the tournament. All right, fans, thanks so very, very much for not only sticking with us through the game, but then also getting a nice little inside look at the locker room with head coach Thomas Beckman and assistant coach Liz Hartnett celebrating their win this afternoon against Greenland. So again, it is up to the Americans tomorrow against St. Kitts and Nevis in order to secure that top 2 position in order to qualify for the World Championships next year. Great showing for the Americans this afternoon, and great showing, I would say, from our team here on the Handball Show. Thanks so much to Amber Kaufman, Viva Chris. My name is Anthony Scott Knox. Again, tomorrow, the United States will take on St. Kitts and Nevis at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific. We'll be looking forward to joining you all again for the final game of this 5-day stretch in the IHF World Championship qualifier. Don't forget to like and subscribe right now so you'll get those notifications whenever we look to go live tomorrow. Thanks so much again for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.